Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 5. You can see now how quickly these courses go by, right? Okay, so this week I'll be putting this video here. We are covering the third conflict resolution approach. It's called Finding Common Ground. And you will be practicing this with your very own group. Um, And then there are some films to watch. I love these films. They're very short, small group discussion. And this is week 5, so there's another process note due. So let's just start here with the learning resources. And so we have the reading this week is by Guy Laguerre, and he talks about person-directed supports, not just person-centered supports, but giving people the power to direct their own supports, of course, with education and, some kind of support from you as well. Then there's a chapter from the Murphy and Dillon book, and this is linked here. You don't have to buy the book. Here is a video about uploading video to YouTube, just in case you don't know how to do that, and recording videos with Zoom, because that's really important since in this week you have a chance to try out recording, okay? Here is a video. This is Dr. Jen Cullen. She's currently the director for the Center of Social Work Education, and she facilitates an example of finding common ground. So you need to watch this in order to be able to facilitate um, your own activity. Okay, so that's just about meeting. This week there is no dyad meeting. So here is where you will post. So you'll go practice a common ground strategy. You can choose any topic you want in a small group, and you can find a small group, it could be family, could be friends, but you are the facilitator. You cannot be a member of the group. And so you need 4 people. They could be people from work or home. They could be neighbors. They could be your practice. You could get some fellow students from school to do it with you. Okay. A conflict scenario of your choice. And then you'll facilitate the common ground experience in the same way that Dr. Cullen demonstrates it in the video. And then you're going to post about your experience. What happened? What was your topic? How did it go? And then you'll follow up with one classmate, like looking at their experience. How was your experience? Similar or different? Okay. I love these films. I mean, they really are only about, maybe they're 5 minutes long, very short, but they are so powerful and really speak to how we might assume things about people. And you know what they say about the world, the word assume. It makes an ASS out of you and me. Okay. So when you watch the films and then talk about how the films demonstrate stereotypes, the ways that we think about people, and projection onto people. So I might have a stereotype, I think it in my head, but then when I project it, I actually say, well, like you're the problem. This is something about you. And but we're really looking at these as a potential root cause of conflict and violence. So you want to make sure that you identify the stereotype and or projection, and then how these things resulted in violence or conflict. Don't summarize the film. I personally have seen it, all of them, many times, and everybody else will have watched it, so no need to summarize. Use all your words for talking about this whole idea of stereotypes and violence, okay? And then you have one classmate to respond to. Here is your, we're going to put your summary for your small group activity. Been doing really well with those. The only thing I would ask you to do is to, when you save your summary, if you could title the file name with week. So this would be week 5 and which group you are. Group 1, group 2, group 3. That helps me because I can't see these unless I download them. And if I download them all at the same time, I don't know which group it is. I have to go look it up. Okay, I appreciate it if I don't have to do that. And so you're going to work with your group and make a practice recording using Zoom. And then your video recording should include a summary of the progress on the project. So you're going to, each person must speak once during the video, even if it's only to introduce themselves. Remember I said you can go up into the right-hand corner to where it says view and make sure that all of your boxes, all 4 or 5 of your boxes are the same size, that we see everybody the whole time and not just the person who's speaking. So you want to toggle that view until it is correct in that way. So here is the video about recording the video. And so one person will need to do the recording. And so you need to host the meeting. And then that person needs to upload the video to YouTube. So there's a video I showed you a few minutes ago about how to upload that video. And then there's one person, could be that person, a different person, needs to complete the small group progress form. So you are uploading both the video link and the form here in whichever group you're in. So I can see how your video goes and I can give you feedback or help. If you need some help, you could say in the video, hey, we need some help, okay? And then the final assignment is your process note. And so make sure that you pay attention to this. So this dyad and content and process is based on the week 4 dyad meeting. So you summarize, what did you do? That's the content. And then how did you do it? And how then what you did, what you talked about, relates to the concepts that are being covered in weeks 4 and 5. Okay? Then there's the large group. So you are focusing on both the week 4 discussion and the week 5 discussion. So this is talking paper, and this is finding common ground. And you need to reflect on each one of these. So it might take you a little more than a half a page if you put in headings for when you're talking about what and where. You're very good at talking about what validated you, but you need to reflect on yourself in the large group. So what did you contribute? And then how did peer responses to your post affect you? Now, sometimes people are not able to post until the end of Sunday, and you're ready to turn in your progress note, your process note. I think process notes are really something that happened in an evolution. You can start in week 4 by doing your reading summaries, and then add to it as you go through. So you have a group meeting, then you can reflect on your small group. You might have already talked about with your dyad partner, so you can then input that part into the process note, and then save the last part for when you make your last response for week 5. Now, there's a one difference this week, and that is there is a question about leadership. So group stage, if you're not in chaos yet, you will be or should be. Lean in to the chaos. Do not fight the chaos. Fighting the chaos just keeps you in pseudo community. And everybody will start telling me that you're in community, and I'm going to start saying back to you, so tell me about the chaos. How did your group navigate chaos? And if you say, oh, there was no chaos, I'm going to say, nope, you can't move into community. Because in community means that the group is willing to be a group regardless of what's going on. Nobody pushes back against the conflict that occurs. You don't ignore the conflict. You want to address the conflict. You want to talk about the conflict. That's leaning in to the conflict or the chaos. Sometimes conflict, chaos is not an argument. You don't have to have an argument to be in chaos. But maybe people are late to the recording, or maybe people are just disagreeing, but there's a lot of tension. Now, somebody might feel really comfortable with the conflict and say, we talked about this, and I'm feeling really good about this. I'm fine. I think we're in community. You are never in community if even one person in your group does not feel comfortable in the group. So if somebody doesn't feel like they were heard, nope, you haven't addressed the chaos. If one person feels like there's still issues, nope, not in community. The group needs to talk about the group. And in talking about it, you talk openly about, well, that was kind of a disagreement that we had there. Let's talk about having the disagreement. How do you think that went? How do you feel? Are you, okay? What makes it okay? This is what I noticed. I'm okay, but you know what? If you're not okay, then we haven't really resolved everything, and we're not in community. So in community, conflict comes up. It's not hunky dory. It's not all like, I don't know, sugar plums and berries. No, being in community is actually tough. Can be anyway. And the good thing, though, is that the group develops a faith or confidence that no matter what comes up, that they will get through that. Okay? Leadership. Here's my words about leadership. Just because somebody speaks up doesn't make them a leader. You need to think about what really makes a person a leader. And there are different kinds of leaders. So I'm going back to task and process. So if you are thinking that this task needs to be done, let's get on it, let's get it over with. Okay, fine. But you're doing task leadership. And the problem with that is that the product is not going to be so great, because with if there's not somebody paying attention to how people are interacting, if there are people in the group that are reverberating from conflict, or feel as though somebody was not being nice to them, or they feel like they were left out. Just because somebody doesn't talk in the group doesn't mean that they're not part of the group. So if somebody's not talking, they might have, I'm sure they do, their very own good reason for not talking. I can tell you sometimes I don't talk in a group, And that's not because I don't have something to say. I do. But everybody's talking. And I can't figure out how to insert myself into the conversation without being rude and interrupting somebody. And yet I watch it all happen in front of me. So I've learned that what I have to do is this. And then when people see that I have something to say, then they'll give me the space that I need to say it. So I might be quiet, and I'm listening, I'm processing, I'm concentrating, I'm applying what I'm thinking to other things in my group, outside of my group. I'm very much engaged with the group, but I'm not necessarily talking. So just because somebody's talking doesn't make them a leader in the group. Okay, roles. So these roles are described in a video that is actually in the major assignments part, and then I reposted the video in an announcement. You need to look at that because those are the roles, not rules, roles. Some people might say, well, I'm a role, my role is member. Sorry, that's not what we're going for. You are honing your ability to make observations in a group. This is a skill you want to develop as a social worker because you will be working in groups. You will have coworkers. I mean, unless you're totally just working by yourself and you're doing therapy and you meet with people one-on-one, maybe then you're not really engaging in a group. But for the most part, if you're working in the social work world, you are working with people in groups. So your ability to kind of assess what's happening in the group is really important. Okay, your role, same thing, same video. Contribution affects your response. Remember, this is how did you feel inside and how did you express yourself outside? And then, I usually ask, well, were they a match? Because sometimes they're not. I might be a wreck inside, but I'm smiling and I'm calm. When I'm communicating to other people, nobody's going to know that I'm a wreck inside because of the way that I present myself. Similarities and differences. This have to do with communication, conflict resolution, interactions. Okay, not your demographics. And then what would you change? And then finally, you are reflecting on assigned reading for weeks 4 and 5. So one reading from 4 and one reading from 5, whatever you choose. Summarize the main points. Reflect upon what the reading means to you and then how you can use this in practice. The reference goes at the top of each summary. So the summary for the week 4 reading goes before the summary. And then there would be the reference. The reference goes before the summary. Then the reference would be for week 5 and then the summary. And this is called an annotated style bibliography. It's not so when your next steps paper comes and you're using references, you'll have a reference page. Most of your assignments, unless somebody says otherwise, are a reference page, okay? So this is one of those classes that's an otherwise. So this should be 7 to 9 pages, including the title page. Being concise and getting to the point is what we're really going for here. You're going to be writing process notes or progress notes in your practice, and you don't want to write things a lengthy amount of material. You want to just put in what you're observing. Okay. All right, and that is it. Here's the grading rubric for this. And the next module is week 6. You do need to rent a video for week 6, Freedom Writers. So just be aware of that. And, or maybe on demand. I don't even know that anybody rents anything anymore. Although on demand they do charge you for that. Okay, so that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you. Bye. See you in the course.